Hello, good morning. Hi, everybody. Oh my gosh, I always have to do that to start the video. Actually, maybe I need one of those long antenna extension things so I can do that from over here. Be less invasive. Okay, so very, very busy today. Oh my gosh. There's so much to do. I don't know how long it's going to be sunny for, but I'm grateful for the sun. And oh my gosh, it's so funny to get the comments on here. Yeah, I'm grateful for the sun. And why is that tipping? Oh, it's on the control. We're out of control. Okay, so we oh my gosh, there's a moth. I don't know why there's a moth in my bowl, but anyway, the doors were open and there's lots of wildlife outside. Good morning, Darlene. I'm already having a party all by myself. Okay, so we have lots going on, and I have a couple beets here. I boiled these beets, and I'm just going to. Okay, so here's the thing. Oh my gosh, and I totally forgot to do it, but so I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to tell you about it. God, we're off to a good start today. Okay, with the beets, so that you don't stain your cutting board, you can spray your cutting board with like a Pam olive oil, like a cooking spray, olive oil, avocado oil, whatever kind that you use. You can put that on your cutting board and it'll stop the beet from staining everything. But since I didn't do that and I don't want to run around right now, I'm just going to do it on the plastic table cover here. And then when you boil your beets, typically you should boil them whole because you lose less nutrition, and don't peel them. So just take the stem off and then leave the little tail and boil them. And then I already started with this one. You can see how there are lots of bugs this year. Oh my God, there's just bugs everywhere. Anyways, so you can see that the peel comes right off once they're boiled. It's really, really easy. You just rub it off with your fingers, and then you can, of course, trim the ends here a little bit as well. So trim whatever you need to trim on the beet. And I'm so proud. These guys are from my garden, which is amazing because, I mean, talk about bugs. The slugs this year were so bad. If anyone's been watching the videos right from the start, they were just horrible, just wiping out my beet tops right away. So I actually grew these too, and I'm pretty happy about that. So that is awesome. So you can see that once it's boiled, you just rub hard. Whoops. Oh God, we do this all the time. You just rub hard until they bounce right out of your hand, and you can see that the peel just comes right off. Of course, there are many different ways to remove the stains from your hands, but I don't worry about it because honestly, by the time I've finished doing other things in the kitchen, the stain's pretty gone. So here I've just rubbed the actual stem off, and so they just fall apart so beautifully. And then you just boil them. Depending on the size of your beets, probably about half an hour or something. It takes a little while, and then that they're done when you can just stick a knife in the middle and it goes in really nicely. Not too mushy. Although I have to say they can take a lot of abuse because when we make the pickled beets, like there's little ones and big ones, and they're all getting boiled until they're all done, and so by the time the big ones are boiled, the little ones are really overdone, but you would never know, so they're very forgiving that way. So what we're doing, we're just going to do a little beet salad here, and so they're very slippery when they're cooked too, so you have to watch out for that. I'm just taking the other tail off. So this is going to be super simple. I got a little piece of skin there. Super simple salad. So this is like an imitation of my pickled beets recipe, which is really, really quite famous and amazing. It's not my recipe, it's an old family recipe, and anyone who has tried those pickled beets absolutely falls in love with them. So this was something I thought, since I had beets that need to come out of the garden, this is something I thought would be really handy for you guys to know, a simple way of doing it if you don't want to go in through a whole pickling of the beets. Pickling of the beets. So just slice it up however you want. I'm just doing little chunks here, and you know, you can do whatever you want in a normal recipe. You could just do oh, I don't know, you know, typically people would do like an olive oil and a brown sugar or something like that. That's not what I'm gonna do. I mean, really, when you cook beets, you could just really put salt, pepper, and butter on them, and they're just so good. You know, I know that most people say they taste like dirt, and they kind of do, but it's really, they're so good for you, right? They're just like, everybody knows that they've got iron. You know, they're just a great source of iron. You know, they're really good for your eyes. They've got vitamin A, they've got vitamin C. They're just so super good for the blood, good for the liver. You know, I just can't really say enough about them. Beets are so good. You know, they've used them too in cancer studies as a, you know, just a health enhancing food that creates a healthy environment that cancer doesn't like to live in, basically. And so, yeah, so they're just so super good for you, and that's the thing with the lovely lovely staining of the beets. So the other thing, like when they clean the blood, I mean, lots of people have done like a beet cleanse and beet diets and stuff like that, and so they're good for the skin as well. Because they clean the blood, they're good for the skin. I'm just looking for something to yeah, I'm going to use the spoon after this, so I am going to rinse my hands off, but it's not going to completely cure the problem. So, there we go. Okay, so, okay, it doesn't really take all the staining off, but it really helps. Okay, so I am going to add a little bit of Celtic sea salt here, and the Celtic sea salt just a little bit. I'm going to, this is going to kind of sort of simulate the pickled beet recipe. I am going to add a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and this is the homemade apple cider vinegar that we made. Whoops. A little too much, but you know, I mean, that's the nice thing about, that brings up the point of the nice thing about our particular recipe with the pickled beets. They're not very vinegary. They're actually more sweet than they are vinegary. So this amount of vinegar would probably be what most people are used to in a pickled beet, because when I've tried other pickled beets, they're very, very vinegar and sour, and our recipe is actually very, you know, it's a friend of mine calls them sweet beets because it is very sweet. Anyway, so we have a little bit of apple cider vinegar, maybe a little too much. It's up to you. If you want to add an oil, you can add a little bit of olive oil. I'm not going to add much, just a little tiny bit, just to, I think that, you know, in this case, it's just to make it, everything else kind of stick to it, you know, the other ingredients. So I'm just going to add like not even half a teaspoon. I was so hesitant, it wouldn't even come out. And the other thing is, for the sweetness, you can add maple syrup if you want, and I also have coconut sugar, so I'm just trying to decide which one I would like. And I think the coconut sugar has a richer, sugarier flavor, although the coconut sugar has a lower glycemic index than other sugars, like especially more than brown sugar or anything like that. So it's healthier for you than any other sugar because it has the lower glycemic index. but it'll add more of a sugar taste. And because I added probably too much vinegar, I'm going to add the coconut sugar instead of maple syrup, because I think that the maple syrup would not be sugary enough to balance that flavor. Okay, that's what I'm after, is to balance the flavor. So we're going to add a little bit of cinnamon as well, and just a little bit of cinnamon, and we're going to add some pepper, of course, and then the secret ingredient. Okay, so secret ingredient. Before I add the secret ingredient, I'm going to add a little bit of cayenne just to give it a teensy little bite. Cayenne, of course, good for the blood, good for circulation. And then this is the secret ingredient, and this is a little bit of allspice. And that is one of the ingredients in the that might be too much. That's one of the ingredients in the family recipe. Okay, so we're gonna stir this together here, and it's just gonna be lovely. So that's kind of like cheating the family recipe. So it does have it's supposed to have a little bit of a sweetness to it, more than being pickled, but the allspice really adds the that different flavor to it. I'm using a ground allspice too, so when we make the pickled beets, like for real, in the big pot, we use the whole allspice, and we put it in the little muslin bags, and then we boil it and all that kind of thing. And there is a video on that on my YouTube, and my Facebook. I'm trying to think of the name of it, and on my Facebook. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a try, and you do definitely have to try things to see if they need more of something rather than the other thing. And it turned out really good. It's not too vinegary at all. It's really awesome. So I'm going to have some water. Oh yes, that's very good. Very good. Okay. So that's our little beet recipe, and it's just going to be a really simple little beet salad to have with lunch or dinner or whatever it is that you want. And then I was going to say to you guys too, with my beet hands, is I'm going to show you the what did we make the other day? The peach salsa. The peach zucchini salsa turned out so good. You can see it looks just lovely. I've been watching it. Actually, I've been watching it as it ferments, just to make sure that it doesn't, because there's no liquid on top. Anything that you ferment needs to be underneath the brine, otherwise it will start to mold. So I've been watching it, making sure it's staying within the liquid, because if the air hits the food, then that will, especially left out at room temperature, that will start that molding process. So I've been watching it and actually scooping off a little bit and just eating it. So, so by the time it gets to the point of fermenting, then it will be, it'll just really bring out those flavors. And as we know, the fermented foods are just so important for your as a probiotic, for your gut health, your immune system health. Really good for, oh my gosh, it's just really good for your brain health, your immune system, fending off colds and flus. Like, they're just finding more and more a value of the fermented foods, like you wouldn't believe. It's super important to have those. So you can see, I don't know if you guys can see there, but it is bubbling up a little bit. So it's been fermenting for, is today Wednesday? Okay, so like 2 days. 2 days only. Wow. I think we made this on Monday, and it is starting to ferment, so it's been 3 days. So I'm going to try and leave it out another day, and keep a close eye on it, make sure that it doesn't start to turn brown or start to oxidate on the top. And then it's going to be fantastic. So the fermenting not only brings out the the flavor of the peaches and the zucchini and the peppers and the onions and the garlic and everything, but it enhances that the whole digestive tract, right? Your whole replaces all the intestinal bacteria, creates a really healthy immune system in the gut system. So, I'm a little hoarse today. I was out early this morning, like trying to get a handle on the garden, and you know, trying to move everything that's in the greenhouse out that needs to go out. And I'm so grateful we don't have any rain happening, that it's so sunny. Okay, so the next thing we're going to make here. Hey Teresa, good morning. Hi, nice to see you. We're just, we did the little beet recipe, and what I'm going to do today, and I feel, I don't see Monique on here right now, but I feel a little bit bad because I know she really wanted to know how to make the golden milk, and that's what we're going to make next. So for your golden milk, you're just going to have your pan, and you're going to add some, whatever you want to add. You can add almond milk, coconut milk, whatever kind of, you know, dairy-free milk that you want to add to that. And I've just turned the heat on here. So the idea of the golden milk, the reason they call it golden milk is because it has the turmeric in it. And so with the turmeric, you know, and you can add as much as you want. I'm thinking probably 2 cups, you know, for the both of us for lunch. And so the reason they call it golden milk is because the turmeric turns it golden. And so we're going to be adding the turmeric, which, can you guys see that pretty good? Okay, we'll put this here. So we're going to add the turmeric, which has all the anti-inflammatory properties. And oh my gosh, it's got the curcumin, which is anti-inflammatory, so it's really good for you know, anything arthritic, right? Your joint pain, inflammation, arthritis, all that kind of stuff. And so the turmeric is so helpful for that. And it's, you know, it's also really good for, if I can find a spoon here, it's also really good for your brain function. They've used it for studies for depression and actually Alzheimer's and things like that as well. So it's actually, that's the same as the fermented foods. They've been doing a lot of studies with the fermented foods for, you know, in studies with Alzheimer's, autism, and depression as well, because everything, like your gut health has to do with everything. It really controls the whole body, the whole immune system, everything that you, it's like the whole main engine of the body, really, your stomach and intestine, like how you digest and how your intestinal bacteria are working is to do with everything. How you absorb your food, your nutrients, your immune system, your killer T cells, your resistance to disease and viruses. Fermenting has to do with everything. And turmeric's a little bit similar in that it really, really facilitates that whole, you know, the immune system and that anti-inflammatory response. So I'm going to add like, actually I'm going to add a teaspoon, because I aimed for 2 cups of milk-ish, almond milk. And so I'm going to put a level teaspoon in here. I add turmeric to a lot of my recipes because it's so good for you and healthy and has all the benefits I just mentioned. But if you add it to a recipe that has more of a delicate flavor, the turmeric has a little bit of a bitterness to it, which is why, you know, it's like that kind of a berberine where it stains everything orangey or yellow. And so it also has a bit of a bitterness too, right? So that also makes it good for the liver. But if you put too much in a different recipe, it'll have a little bit of a bitter flavor. So that's why we usually sweeten this so that it doesn't taste too bitter, although I do like bitter. Bitter foods are so good for you, and they're so important. They stimulate digestion, stimulate the immune system. Bitter foods prepare you for breaking down proteins and all of the foods as you're eating. So that's why they used to have bitters before you would eat your meal, so that you didn't end up with indigestion or, you know, acid reflux or any kinds of those kinds of things. The bitters really, really help with all that. So we put in a little bit of turmeric. Whenever you use turmeric, you always want to use black pepper, because black pepper helps it to be more easily absorbed into the body. So you need your black pepper. You know, there's been a lot of controversy with the different oils, and you know, there's so many pros and cons on you know, adding oils to the diet and that kind of thing. But a lot of the recipes, the turmeric recipes, call for you know, olive oil or avocado oil or something like that. So at the very end, we're going to add some coconut oil, and it's a you know, coconut oil handles the heat pretty good, but we're going to wait till the end to do that. So we have that. I am going to add some cinnamon to it as well. So cinnamon, they've been doing all the studies for immunity resistance. I'm just looking. Can you guys see what's going on here? I might be able to pick this up without burning myself. I don't think that's 2 cups of milk. Oh God, me and my lack of measuring. If you look at all my YouTube videos, I have about 150 YouTube videos, 15-minute healthy meals, and I have like a bazillion Instagram pictures of food that I've made, and I'm terrible for measuring or recipes. So it's just very intuitive cooking, you know, because I'm a certified herbalist and natural health consultant, but I am not a professional cook at all. So these recipes are just to show you what I do to stay healthy and to share information and have fun. So, so measuring's not my thing. Actually, numbers are not my thing at all. So, okay, so we're just bringing this to a little bit of a simmer. I don't want it too hot, like I don't want it to boil. And so we have the turmeric in here. We've got, if you want to, and it really enhances the everything, you know, helps with circulation. Cayenne helps with everything. It helps with your heart. You can add a little bit of cayenne for that extra little bit of spice into it. And then I added the cinnamon, and the cinnamon, that's what I was going to say. The cinnamon has been studied recently for all of the antiviral properties. Like through this whole thing that started in March, there's been so many different studies, and being a certified herbalist, I belong to all of the groups that are all the, you know, herbalist guilds and herbal organizations and all that kind of thing, to find out what really works for this particular issue that we are challenged with in these times. And I'm a Western herbalist, but with the traditional Chinese medicine herbals, you know, journals and research and all that kind of thing, the cinnamon is coming up as super, super important for this particular issue. And I don't mean a sprinkle of cinnamon like this. I mean like cinnamon, like a teaspoon a day, is very antiviral. So very good against viruses. And so the more cinnamon you can incorporate into your food, the better. Or just use a whole teaspoon into, if you're making a chai tea or something like that. You know, you can add more of this. Typically you don't use a lot of it, but you certainly can. If you want it to have more cinnamon in your golden milk, you certainly can. And you know what I forgot completely was the ginger. And so ginger is super important for the golden milk as well. And so I'm going to grab that for the golden milk. And so the ginger is really important. And again, that aids in circulation, right? The ginger is, and I love ginger, so we're going to add lots. The ginger is also antiviral. Not as much as the cinnamon though. And it's obviously everybody knows that it's really good for nausea. It's antiviral. If you had nothing else, and you had a cold or a flu or something, the ginger will knock it out. It's that antiviral. The cinnamon as well can do that, but typically your body is going to handle a lot more ginger than it is more cinnamon. And so, but you can use both. You could use half and half, and then just, you know, I don't mean more than a cup a day if you're using it in a tea. Okay, so the other thing with the turmeric too, I was going to mention is that if you use the turmeric root, like some people may be sensitive to the powder, which is what I'm using. And if you are sensitive to the powder at all, I can't imagine why you would be, but there are a few people that are. You can use the turmeric root, which is actually better, really. And if you want to make it like ultimately super crazy good, better, raw is better. So if you had the turmeric root, ideally what you would do is you would juice that, run it through the juicer, and save the turmeric juice, and you would add it to this and then just gently warm it up, and then mostly it's fairly raw. And so that is also a preferred method, but the thing is, I don't always have ginger root in the fridge, and you probably don't either. So in that case, we use the powder, and it's perfectly okay. It works awesome, and you know, as well, it's just not quite as beneficial as a superfood, but it still really works for inflammation. If you take this every day, drink this every day, it's been my experience that most people find a huge difference in how they feel with inflammation and arthritis. Like, it really, really is a good thing. What we do personally, because I just don't take the time to heat up almond milk and to add these things, what we do is I make a chai tea every day. I have what I call my morning powders, and I add a mushroom powder to that, and a little bit of chai tea and everything, and I just add the turmeric to it along with the black pepper. So you can do it like that. Just incorporate the turmeric into your whatever you're drinking every day if you can, and you'll notice a really big difference in inflammation. So the other thing we're going to add, now that I've turned this off and I don't want it super hot, because I'm going to add some of the coconut oil. And so you don't have to do this, and a lot of people don't. You know, it all depends. Like, there's a train of thought of that the oil, the coconut oil or avocado oil or whatever kind of oil that you want to use, there's a train of thought that it also enhances the absorption of the turmeric into the body. So, you know, I haven't seen as many studies of that. I've seen a lot of studies with the black pepper. The black pepper is pretty vital. I mean, you know, it really just increases the absorption rate by, I don't know what it is, something like 400% for the black pepper. And now, you know, they're talking that the oils also really help to pull that into being absorbed. So we're going to get another clean spoon, and then the last thing we're going to add is the honey. Or you can add maple syrup. You could add maple syrup, honey, coconut, sugar, you know, something natural. Like, some people, I'm just not a fan of stevia at all. I'm just not. To me, I don't know, I don't like the flavor. But you could add something like that, a natural sweetener. The other thing is, you know, honey is antibacterial, antiviral, and it's amazing. But if you're vegan, you would want to go with the coconut sugar, which has a lower glycemic index than other sugars. And if you wanted to go, or you could go with the maple syrup. But if you wanted to go with, like, totally, if you had diabetes or blood sugar issues or whatever, and you wanted to go with like a no sugar kind of thing that's sweet, and not use stevia, you can use monk fruit, which is, it's a fruit, super, super sweet. You don't need very much of it, and that is apparently tolerated by diabetics much better than anything else, really. So it's monk fruit, M-O-N-K. So for me, for this, you know, we've got some smoke happening in the air around here. We're a little bit higher up on the mountain, and so it's been kind of bothering my throat. So I am going to go for the honey, because everybody knows it's so good for your throat. So now that this is a little bit cooler, I'm actually going to go with 2 tablespoons. yeah, so try to get it. It's always fun. You know, I don't have one of those little cute little honey beehive doohickey things that stops you from dripping the honey everywhere. There we go. Okay, double spoons. Yeah, so that's it. So that is that's the golden milk, and super easy to do. I've talked a lot through the video, but actually this really only takes about 5 minutes if you have the ingredients. And like I said, even if you can get the turmeric and the black pepper into whatever else you're drinking, you'll find a really big difference with that, with how you feel, especially if you have joint pain or arthritis pain or things like that. Okay, so I have a couple little things. I usually share a little herbal thing at the end. This is a herb. It's not really much of a herb. I shouldn't say that. It is a very important herb. They're all really important. This is fennel. I happen to grow it in my garden. Like, I have a huge bush, and so it's just really interesting to share the little seeds here. So we have the flowers, and then they're turning into the seeds. Or maybe the seeds are turning into the flowers. I'm not sure. Anyway, the fennel seed is really good for digestion, gas, bloating. Oh my gosh, it's got so many uses. So I'm going to work with these, and we're going to talk about them more later. The other thing I've been wanting to show you for the past few days is you guys have to get out there and get some rose hips. They are... they're actually better after the first frost. It enhances the vitamin C, but right now they are beautiful. Sometimes after the first frost, they'll look a little modelly, you know, and not as pretty. But these are gorgeous. This is from the wild rose, not the domesticated rose. So don't be picking these out of your rose garden. You need to find the wild rose, the actual real wild rose, and I can't remember the Latin name right now. Rosea something probably. Anyways, get your rose hips. You can dry them, cut them in half, dry them, and add them for your vitamin C this winter, because we are going to need a lot of vitamin C this winter. So for sure, start gathering the rose hips. It's a free source of vitamin C, and if you dry them, and you know, it takes a little bit more of the longer time for them to absorb, and then your vitamin C is also sensitive to heat. So you want to dry them, and then you can put them in a tea, but you need it more concentrated because the heat is going to eliminate some of the vitamin C. But the other thing you can do is crush them up, put them in a, you know, kind of juice them, and put them in with your golden milk or whatever else you're eating. But anyways, start gathering your vitamin C. Okay, so thanks, you guys. Yeah, the smoke. I know. Well, apparently the smoke is out there because I am quite hoarse today, and I'm super sensitive to that because lungs are my little sensitivity. But yeah, I hope we don't get too much more smoke, but I will just, you know, I'll carry on and struggle through with your patience. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks for hanging out, and make some golden milk and enjoy. We'll see you tomorrow at 11. Have a great day.